The starship Aurora glided silently through the docking bay, its polished metal hull reflecting the soft lights of the station. Inside, the hum of machinery and the faint scent of ozone created a strange mix of comfort and tension. Liam adjusted his uniform nervously, glancing at the control panels that lined the bridge. "Are you ready?" Myra asked, her voice calm but firm. She stood near the doorway, her hands folded neatly. Her dark hair was tied back, and her eyes reflected the soft glow of the control lights. Liam swallowed. "I think so. I hope I can manage everything if something goes wrong." Myra smiled faintly. "You will. Just remember one thing about me. I have a cycle. It's going to make me weaker than usual at times. You have to understand it, and be ready to help." Liam blinked. "Cycle? You mean like fatigue?" "Yes. It comes every few weeks. I get tired faster, I feel dizzy sometimes, and I don't work at full strength. You need to watch out for me, not just for the ship but for me too." Liam nodded, trying to look confident, but he felt a knot in his stomach. I can do that." Myra's expression softened. "I know you can. Just don't treat it like a small problem. It matters." The intercom buzzed, and the captain's voice filled the cabin. "Aurora crew, prepare for departure. All systems report green. Navigation is set. This is the final check before leaving orbit." Liam moved to his station, fingers brushing over the panels as he reviewed the system reports. He felt excitement mix with nervousness. He had dreamed of traveling to uncharted planets for years, but now that it was real, the responsibility pressed down on him. Myra approached and placed a hand lightly on his shoulder. "Remember, we are a team. You can do this." The engines roared to life, and the starship shuddered slightly as it lifted from the docking bay. Liam gripped the edge of his console, feeling the vibration through his fingers. Outside the window, the station slowly shrank, and the endless black of space stretched before them. They were alone now, drifting toward a planet no human had explored. Hours passed in a quiet rhythm. Liam monitored the systems while Myra checked the engine core and life support modules. Occasionally, she paused, feeling the first twinges of her cycle. A faint dizziness brushed her mind, and she had to steady herself against the railing. "I feel a little off," she admitted softly. Liam looked up, concerned. "Do you want me to take over?" Myra shook her head. "No, I can manage for now. Just keep an eye on me." The ship hummed as it moved further from the station. Stars stretched into lines outside the windows, a reminder of how fast they traveled through space. Liam tried to focus on the controls, but his mind wandered to Myra's warning. How would he know when her cycle was serious? How could he help without making mistakes? Suddenly, an alarm sounded. Red lights flashed on the console, and a sharp tone filled the bridge. "System warning," the AI announced. "Navigation error detected. Manual override recommended." Liam's heart jumped. What does that mean? Myra moved quickly to his side, eyes scanning the panels. "It means our course is unstable. Something is interfering with the navigation system. We have to fix it before it gets worse." Liam nodded, trying to remember what he had learned during training. He followed Myra's instructions carefully, adjusting coordinates and recalibrating the controls. Myra leaned over, guiding him patiently, though a wave of fatigue washed over her. "You're doing fine," she said. "Just, stay calm. We can fix this." Minutes felt like hours. Liam's hands shook slightly as he pressed the buttons, but Myra's calm presence gave him courage. Together, they stabilized the ship, the alarm fading as the navigation system returned to normal. Liam exhaled deeply. "We did it." Myra smiled, though her hand rested lightly against her stomach, a subtle sign of her cycle's discomfort. "Yes. But remember, It's not over. Space is unpredictable. We have to be ready for anything. Liam nodded again. He felt a new respect for Myra, not just for her skills but for her honesty and strength. He also understood that helping her meant more than following instructions. It meant watching, listening, and acting with care. As the Aurora sailed deeper into the darkness of space, the two of them settled into their routine, aware that the journey ahead would test more than their knowledge and courage. It would test their ability to work together, to understand each other, and to face challenges neither could solve alone. Somewhere ahead, a planet waited. And Liam knew that their adventure was only just beginning. The Aurora drifted deeper into uncharted space, surrounded by the endless black of stars. Liam kept his eyes on the navigation panel, watching numbers and coordinates shift with every passing second. Myra moved along the corridor, checking systems and making notes on a small tablet. She paused, feeling a sudden wave of fatigue. "I think my cycle is hitting harder than usual," she said softly, gripping the railing to steady herself. Liam glanced up immediately. "Do you want me to take over?" Myra shook her head. "Not yet. I can handle small tasks. Just stay close and watch for anything unusual." He nodded, tension tightening in his chest. This was no longer just a training mission, it was survival in the vast unknown. A low hum started from the engines, growing louder with each second. The lights on the navigation panel flickered, and a sharp alarm cut through the cabin. "Warning," the AI intoned. "Core instability detected. Immediate attention required." Liam's hands froze over the console. "Core instability? What does that mean?" Myra rushed to his side, her step slightly unsteady. "It means the main engine core is fluctuating. If we don't stabilize it, we could drift off course or worse." The ship shuddered, and a small vibration ran through the floor beneath their feet. Liam gripped the edge of the console, trying to stay calm. "What do we do first?" Myra studied the readings. "We need to manually override the system. I'll guide you, but you have to follow my instructions exactly." Liam nodded, his heart pounding. He watched her carefully, noticing the strain in her posture and the faint paleness on her face. Her cycle was affecting her more than she admitted, but she did not want to slow him down. "Step 1, Myra said firmly, "we need to reroute power to stabilize the engine core. I'll direct the sequence, you handle the panels." Liam worked quickly, pressing buttons, flipping switches, and rerouting energy as Myra instructed. She leaned over him, pointing to lines of code and numbers flashing on the screen. Her voice was steady, even though he could see the exhaustion in her eyes. Minutes passed, each one feeling like an hour. The ship shuddered again, and a small spark flew from a console. Liam flinched. "Is that normal?" Myra shook her head. "No. That is a warning. Keep going. Don't stop." He followed her guidance, rerouting circuits and balancing energy flows. Myra watched him closely, correcting mistakes with calm, precise directions. "Careful with that switch. You need to flip it twice, not 3 times." Finally, the hum of the engine began to smooth out. The lights on the navigation panel steadied, and the alarm faded into silence. Liam exhaled heavily. "We did it. The core, it's stable." Myra gave a small smile, though she leaned against the railing to steady herself. "Good. That was close. If we had waited another minute, we might have been in serious trouble." He looked at her, concern etched on his face. "You're pushing yourself too hard. I can't let you do this alone." Myra shook her head gently. "Liam, you have to learn to handle the ship. My cycle slows me down, yes, but you need to understand responsibility. This is how we survive in space. We rely on each other, but we also learn from each other." Liam nodded slowly, realizing that this was more than just a technical challenge. It was a lesson in trust, patience, and teamwork. The stars outside stretched in long streaks as the Aurora continued its journey. Every moment in space felt heavier, as though the emptiness was testing their courage and endurance. Liam adjusted the ship's course carefully, keeping an eye on every system. Myra hovered nearby, ready to assist but letting him take control. Hours passed in tense silence, broken only by system checks and the occasional instructions from Myra. She tried to hide her discomfort, but Liam noticed her slowing movements and the faint lines of strain around her eyes. He offered small gestures of help, bringing her tools, steadying her when she turned, and double-checking her instructions. "Thank you," she said quietly when he handed her a small wrench. "You are learning faster than I expected." Liam smiled, feeling a surge of pride. "I couldn't do it without you guiding me." For a brief moment, the ship felt calm again. But deep in space, calm was fragile. The unknown stretched around them, silent and immense. They knew that more challenges were waiting, some mechanical, some environmental, and some that would test their endurance and trust in ways they could not yet imagine. Myra leaned against the console, taking a slow breath. "We've survived the first test. That's a good start. But space always has more to teach." Liam nodded, glancing at the stars beyond the window. He felt a mix of excitement and caution. They were together, stranded in a vast unknown, and every decision mattered. Their journey had truly begun. The Aurora floated silently in space, far from any station or planet. The navigation system was fixed, but the ship could not move. Liam and Myra had done all they could with the controls, and now they were truly stranded. Liam walked along the corridor, his hands brushing the cool walls. He could feel the emptiness outside the ship pressing in, a quiet reminder that help might not come soon. Myra followed slowly, her steps careful. Her cycle made her tired, and she had to pause often. "I never thought being stranded could feel so heavy," Liam said quietly. Myra gave a small smile. "It is heavy. But weight can teach you something. You learn patience, focus, and how to rely on others. Right now, it is just you and me." Liam nodded. He realized that Myra was not just a guide, she was the anchor of their small world on the Aurora. They reached the engine room. Liam had studied the panels earlier, but now he felt the true responsibility. Myra leaned against a railing, watching him. "We need to keep checking the systems. Even small issues can become serious." Liam adjusted the energy flow, watching the readings closely. The hum of the engines was steady, but the minor fluctuations made him uneasy. Myra handed him a spanner. "Here. This will help. Remember, careful and slow is better than rushed and wrong." He nodded, taking the tool. Myra stepped back, her face pale but determined. Liam could see how much her cycle affected her, yet she remained focused. He felt respect and admiration. Hours passed as they worked together. Liam tried to fix minor problems in the ship, while Myra gave advice and corrected him gently. She taught him the right way to connect circuits and balance power flows. Liam made mistakes, but Myra never shouted or got angry. She only guided him patiently. "Try to use less force on the panel," Myra said. "See the connectors? They are fragile. Treat them like a delicate machine." Liam adjusted his movements. "I understand. Thanks for showing me." They ate simple meals from the storage packs. Liam tried to make a drink, mixing the nutrient powder with water, but the first attempt was too thick. Myra laughed softly, a sound that echoed lightly through the empty ship. "You are learning. It is supposed to be drinkable, not solid." Liam smiled, feeling a small relief. Even stranded, there were moments of normal life. He began to understand that Myra's presence made the challenge easier, her guidance turning fear into manageable steps. Suddenly, the ship shook slightly. Liam grabbed the railing. What was that? Myra checked the readings. Minor turbulence from a small meteor shower nearby. Nothing to worry about. But it reminds us that space is never safe, even when it seems calm. They went to the observation deck. Stars stretched endlessly outside the reinforced glass. Liam felt both awe and fear. Space was beautiful, but it was also merciless. "We are tiny here," Liam said softly. "I can feel it. Any mistake could be dangerous." Myra placed a hand lightly on his shoulder. "Yes. But we are human. We adapt. We solve problems. That is what keeps us alive. And right now, we solve them together." A long silence followed, filled with unspoken thoughts. Liam realized he had learned more in these hours than in all his training. Myra's cycle was not a weakness, it was a part of her humanity, a challenge that made him more careful, more aware, and more responsible. As the hours passed, the two of them found small ways to support each other. Liam carried heavy tools for Myra. Myra reminded Liam to take breaks and drink water. They began to understand rhythm in work and rest. Their cooperation became smooth, almost instinctive. By the time the artificial night cycle started on the ship, Liam and Myra had repaired minor systems and reinforced several weak points in the hull. They were exhausted, but there was a quiet satisfaction in the work. They had survived the first real test of being stranded. Myra sat on a bench in the corridor, closing her eyes for a moment. Liam handed her a cup of water. "Here. You need to rest." She accepted it gratefully. "Thank you. You are doing well. I am proud of you." Liam felt warmth in his chest. He had worried about whether he could handle Myra's warnings and her cycle. Now, he understood that caring for someone meant more than following instructions. It meant noticing, adjusting, and acting with thought and respect. As they prepared to rest, Liam glanced at the observation deck again. The stars shone brightly, indifferent to their struggle. But inside the ship, two humans had found a way to adapt, survive, and trust each other. And somewhere, in the darkness of space, help might come, or they might have to face the unknown entirely on their own. Either way, they were no longer just two people in a ship. They were a team. The Aurora slowly descended toward the planet's surface, its engines humming steadily as it broke through the thin atmosphere. Liam and Myra were strapped into their seats, eyes wide as the rocky landscape came into view. The planet was barren, with jagged cliffs and scattered patches of strange glowing minerals. Dust swirled in the low gravity, and occasional sparks of electricity flickered in the clouds above. Liam gripped the console tightly. "It looks dangerous." Myra glanced at him with a calm expression. "It is not safe, but it is our only chance. We need materials to repair the ship fully. And we need to survive until we can leave." The landing was rough, but controlled. The ship shuddered as it touched the rocky ground. Liam felt the vibration run through his body. Myra leaned slightly against the seat, weary from her cycle, but she stayed focused. "Good work," she said quietly. "Now, we check the engines and gather what we need. Stay alert. This planet may look empty, but it is unpredictable." Liam followed her into the cargo bay. They suited up in their protective gear, carrying tools and scanning devices. Outside, the wind blew harshly, kicking up dust and rocks. Liam struggled for a moment, adjusting to the low gravity, but Myra guided him patiently. "Take it slow," she instructed. "Balance yourself with each step." They moved across the rocky terrain, searching for minerals that could be used to fix the ship's power core. Myra felt a twinge of fatigue, a reminder that her cycle was affecting her energy. Liam noticed her slowing pace and offered a hand. "Here, let me help you," he said. Myra accepted it briefly, smiling. "Thank you. Your support matters more than you think." As they worked, Liam discovered unusual formations in the rock. Some crystals glowed faintly, pulsing with energy. "Myra, look at this," he called. Myra bent down to examine them. These could be useful. The energy pulses might help stabilize the engine. But we have to handle them carefully. They collected the crystals, storing them in reinforced containers. Each step required caution, as the ground shifted beneath them and small electric discharges arced from the rocks. Liam and Myra moved as a team, communicating constantly and checking each other's safety. Suddenly, a flash of lightning struck near the ship, sending a shockwave through the ground. Liam stumbled, and Myra grabbed him quickly. "Careful. These storms are unpredictable. We need to get back before it gets worse." They hurried toward the Aurora, carrying the minerals and crystals. Myra's fatigue grew heavier with each step, and Liam stayed close, supporting her. He realized that understanding her cycle meant paying attention not just to her words but to her body and energy. Back on the ship, they placed the crystals near the engine core and began the repair process. Liam followed Myra's instructions carefully, adjusting circuits and connecting the energy sources. Myra guided him patiently, correcting minor mistakes and encouraging him. "You are learning fast," she said, her voice calm but warm. "Your care and attention make a difference." Liam felt pride and relief. He was not just fixing a ship, he was helping someone he respected and had come to trust deeply. Hours passed as they worked. The glowing crystals provided a stable energy flow, and the engine core slowly stabilized. Outside, the storm raged, shaking the ship occasionally, but inside, they focused entirely on their task. Finally, Myra stepped back, exhaustion showing on her face. "It is done. The ship is stable. We can leave the planet soon." Liam smiled, though he was equally tired. "We did it? Together?" Myra nodded. "Yes. And we learned something important. Space tests more than skill. It tests patience, teamwork, and understanding. You have shown all of those today." Liam looked at her, noticing the way she had balanced strength and vulnerability. He realized that her cycle was not a weakness, it was a part of her humanity, a challenge that taught him empathy and responsibility. The storm outside began to fade, leaving the glowing rocks softly illuminated under the planet's dim sun. Liam and Myra prepared the ship for takeoff, securing tools and checking systems one last time. As the engines powered up, the Aurora lifted from the rocky surface, rising slowly into the sky. Liam and Myra watched the planet shrink beneath them, a reminder of the obstacles they had overcome and the unknowns that still awaited. They had landed, repaired the ship, and survived the storm. But this was only one part of the journey. The vastness of space stretched endlessly before them, full of challenges and discoveries. Inside the ship, Liam and Myra exchanged a look of quiet satisfaction. Their bond had grown stronger, and their trust in each other had deepened. Whatever came next, they knew they could face it together. The planet's surface stretched before them, jagged and glowing faintly under the dim sun. Liam and Myra stepped out of the Aurora in their suits, carrying tools and scanning devices. Their task was clear: find additional materials to strengthen the ship and ensure they could leave safely. But something new caught their attention: a series of strange structures rising from the rocky ground. "Those look artificial," Liam said, squinting at the shapes. Myra examined them closely. "They are not natural formations. They might be ruins. We need to investigate carefully. They could hold resources or dangers." Together, they approached the ruins, stepping over jagged rocks. Myra's steps were careful, her cycle still causing fatigue, but she remained focused. Liam noticed how she adjusted her pace and breathing, quietly managing her energy. He stayed close, ready to assist if needed. The ruins were unlike anything they had seen before. Metallic walls glimmered with faint energy, and intricate patterns etched into the surfaces seemed to pulse with light. Liam reached out to touch one of the panels, and a soft hum echoed through the air. "These might help the ship," Myra said. "But we need to understand them first." They moved inside, careful with every step. The floor beneath them was smooth but unstable in places, and small energy arcs flickered across the walls. Myra guided Liam through the patterns, pointing out weak spots and safe paths. "Balance yourself here," she instructed. "The floor shifts slightly, but if we move slowly, we will be safe." Hours passed as they explored the ruins. Liam marveled at the technology, trying to understand the patterns of energy and circuits. Myra directed him patiently, showing him how to stabilize small devices that might enhance the ship's power core. "You are doing well," she said, noticing Liam's concentration. "Your attention to detail is important. Even small mistakes can have consequences." Suddenly, a low rumble shook the floor. Liam grabbed Myra's arm instinctively. "What was that?" Myra's eyes scanned the ruins. "A minor collapse. We need to move quickly but carefully. Stay calm and follow me." They navigated through narrow passages, avoiding falling debris. Myra's cycle made her slower, and Liam adjusted his pace to support her. Together, they reached a larger chamber, where a glowing crystal structure stood at the center. "This could amplify the ship's energy systems," Myra said. "But we need to be careful. It is powerful and unstable." Liam nodded. "I can help. Show me what to do." Myra guided him in connecting the crystal to a portable stabilizer. Liam followed her instructions, carefully attaching connectors and aligning energy flows. The crystal pulsed softly, casting light across their helmets. It hummed with energy, and Liam felt a thrill at the thought of using it to repair the ship. Suddenly, another tremor shook the chamber. Small rocks fell from the ceiling, and a faint crack appeared in the crystal's base. Liam froze. "Myra, what now?" "Stay calm," she said, placing a hand on his shoulder. "We move together. Step carefully and keep the crystal balanced." They backed away slowly, each step measured and precise. The crystal's glow dimmed as they moved it to a safer area, where it could be transported without risk. Liam felt a surge of respect for Myra. Even in her fatigue, she remained composed and focused, guiding him with patience and skill. Outside the ruins, the storm on the planet had lessened. Liam and Myra carried the crystal and other materials back to the Aurora, moving carefully over the rocky terrain. Liam supported Myra at times, adjusting to her pace, while she reminded him to rest briefly and stay hydrated. Back on the ship, they placed the materials near the engine core. Liam followed Myra's instructions, carefully integrating the crystal into the power system. Myra supervised, guiding him with calm, precise directions. Slowly, the engine core began to stabilize further, stronger than before. "We did it," Myra said softly, her fatigue visible but her satisfaction clear. "The ship is safer now. We are ready to leave the planet soon." Liam looked at her, realizing how much they had learned from each other. Myra had taught him not just about technology, but about patience, trust, and cooperation. He had learned to notice her needs, adjust his actions, and work as a true partner. "You were amazing," Liam said, smiling. "I could not have done this without you." Myra returned the smile, a quiet warmth in her eyes. "And I could not have done it without you. We are stronger together. That is what matters in space." As they prepared to rest, Liam glanced out at the planet. Its strange beauty and dangers had tested them both, but they had adapted. Together, they had faced uncertainty, learned from each other, and strengthened the ship. Inside the Aurora, they felt a quiet sense of accomplishment. The challenges were not over, but they were ready for the next steps. Whatever the universe would throw at them, they would face it as a team. The Aurora rested on the rocky surface of the planet, quiet except for the soft hum of its engines. Liam and Myra stood in the engine room, surrounded by wires, tools, and the glowing crystal they had retrieved from the ruins. The final repair was crucial. If they failed, leaving the planet would be impossible. Myra leaned against a railing, feeling the lingering effects of her cycle. "I can manage the adjustments, but I will need your help for the heavy work," she said, her voice calm despite her fatigue. Liam nodded. "I'm ready. Tell me what to do." They began by checking the main power conduits. Sparks flickered from old wires, and small readings on the console warned of instability. Liam followed Myra's instructions carefully, rerouting energy and tightening connections. She watched him closely, correcting his errors gently. "Not too much force," Myra said. "The conduits are delicate. One wrong move, and the whole system could fail." Liam adjusted his grip, following her guidance. He noticed the way she moved, conserving energy while still being precise and attentive. Her cycle made her slower, but it did not weaken her judgment or skill. Hours passed as they worked side by side. Liam lifted heavy panels while Myra guided the installation of the crystal energy stabilizer. Together, they connected circuits and aligned the power flows. The hum of the engine grew stronger and steadier. Suddenly, the floor beneath the engine room shook violently. Liam stumbled, and Myra caught his arm. "A minor quake," she said. "Stay focused. Keep the connection secure." They worked quickly, tightening connectors and reinforcing the stabilizer. Sparks flew, but their teamwork was smooth. Liam learned to anticipate Myra's instructions, and Myra adjusted her pace to match his. Each action was deliberate, precise, and synchronized. Finally, the main engine core glowed steadily. The hum became a steady, powerful tone. Liam and Myra exchanged a glance, both feeling relief and pride. "It is stable," Myra said softly. "We can leave the planet once we finish the last checks." Liam smiled, wiping sweat from his brow. "I never imagined I could do this. You've taught me so much." Myra gave a faint smile, fatigue softening her expression. "And you've taught me patience and trust. We depend on each other in space. That is how we survive." They completed the final checks together. Sensors reported optimal energy flow, navigation systems confirmed stability, and the ship's AI acknowledged full repair. The Aurora was ready to rise from the rocky surface. "Are you ready?" Myra asked, leaning slightly against the console. Liam nodded. "Yes. Let's go home." The engines roared to life. The ship shuddered as it lifted, dust and small rocks falling away from the landing site. Liam and Myra sat in their seats, watching the planet recede below them. It looked smaller now, almost peaceful compared to the danger and challenges they had faced. As they cleared the atmosphere, Liam glanced at Myra. "I was worried about your cycle. I didn't know how to help at first. But now I understand it matters, not just for you, but for us working together." Myra smiled, a soft warmth in her eyes. "Exactly. It is part of being human. Space does not wait for anyone. You need to notice, adjust, and act with care. You did that." The ship moved smoothly through the quiet black of space. Stars stretched into streaks as they accelerated. Liam felt a mix of relief and excitement. They had faced technical failure, environmental dangers, and personal challenges, but they had succeeded through cooperation and understanding. Myra leaned back in her seat, closing her eyes briefly. "The planet tested us. The ruins tested us. And our teamwork tested us. We passed every challenge." Liam looked at her with respect. "I never realized how much I could learn from someone else. You taught me more than just engineering. You taught me patience, observation, and trust." She opened her eyes and gave a faint nod. "And you taught me that support can be quiet but strong. Even small gestures, noticing details, can make a huge difference." That is what keeps us alive. The journey home would still take time, but the hardest part was over. The ship was stable, their supplies were secured, and their trust in each other had grown stronger. They had proven that humans could face the unknown and survive through intelligence, courage, and empathy. As the Aurora sailed into deeper space, Liam and Myra prepared to rest. They had worked tirelessly, but the satisfaction of their achievement made fatigue easier to bear. Outside the reinforced windows, stars stretched endlessly, a reminder of the vast universe they had conquered together. For the first time in days, the bridge of the Aurora felt calm. Liam and Myra shared a quiet look of accomplishment. They had repaired the ship, survived the dangers of the planet, and proven their teamwork. Space was still vast and unpredictable, but inside their ship, they were ready for whatever awaited. Together, they had learned that human strength was more than skill and knowledge. It was cooperation, care, and resilience. And with that strength, there was no challenge too great. The Aurora glided smoothly through space, its engine steady and strong. Liam and Myra sat in the bridge, both feeling a quiet relief. The planet behind them had tested their skills, their courage, and their teamwork. Now, they were finally on the path back to a safe space station. Liam gazed at the stars beyond the reinforced windows. "I can't believe we made it through all of that," he said softly. Myra smiled faintly, still resting slightly against the console. "It was not easy. But we managed. That is what matters." Hours passed as the ship sailed through quiet space. They monitored the systems, double-checked the repairs, and made small adjustments. For the first time in days, there were no alarms, no sudden shudders, and no immediate dangers. The silence was comforting, almost peaceful. Liam glanced at Myra. "I want to thank you again for trusting me during your cycle. I didn't know what to expect at first, but I think I understand now." Myra looked at him, her eyes soft. "It is not something to be ashamed of. Everyone has limits and challenges. What matters is how we work with them. You noticed, you adjusted, and you acted with care. That made all the difference." They fell into a quiet rhythm, each thinking about the journey they had shared. Liam reflected on how much he had grown, not just as a scientist, but as a person. He had learned patience, empathy, and the importance of working together. Myra realized that teaching and guiding someone else required trust as well as skill, and she valued Liam's dedication and willingness to learn. As they approached the space station, the lights of the orbital structures became visible in the distance. The familiar shapes brought a sense of relief and anticipation. Liam felt excitement mixed with nervousness. Returning home meant telling their crew about the adventure, but it also meant saying goodbye to the planet that had tested them so fiercely. "Look at that," Liam said, pointing toward the space station. "It feels like home after everything we faced out there." Myra nodded. "It is home. And we made it because we trusted each other." They prepared the ship for docking, checking the landing protocols and securing loose tools. The Aurora descended slowly, touching the station's surface with a soft hum. The docking clamps engaged, and the ship settled firmly. "Welcome back," a voice announced over the intercom. "Aurora is safely docked. Crew, prepare for inspection and debriefing." Liam and Myra exchanged a smile. They had completed a journey full of challenges, dangers, and discoveries. And they had done it together, stronger and wiser for the experience. Once the ship was secured, they walked out onto the docking bay. Other crew members greeted them with relief and admiration. Liam and Myra shared a quiet laugh as they recounted parts of the story, careful to focus on the teamwork and survival rather than the dangers. "You two did an incredible job," the captain said, shaking their hands. "The repairs, the resource gathering, everything was perfect. You proved that human skill and cooperation can overcome almost anything." Liam looked at Myra, feeling a sense of pride and gratitude. "We learned a lot from each other," he said. Myra nodded. Yes. Space tests more than knowledge. It tests patience, understanding, and trust. And we passed that test together. Later, as the station lights dimmed and the crew rested, Liam and Myra stood by the observation deck, watching the stars. The universe seemed calm, almost gentle after the intensity of their journey. You know, Liam said, I never thought being stranded could teach me so much. Not just about the ship, but about working with someone, trusting them, and learning from them. Myra smiled. And I never thought guiding someone could be as rewarding as solving a technical problem. Your attention, care, and willingness to learn made this possible. They stood in silence for a moment, feeling the bond they had formed. The journey had been difficult, but it had also shown them the strength of human cooperation and resilience. They had faced the unknown together and emerged victorious. Finally, Liam spoke with a small laugh. I think I might try cooking properly next time. Maybe we can celebrate without worrying about the ship falling apart. Myra laughed too, a soft, warm sound. I would like that. And I think we deserve it. The stars outside continued to shine, endless and full of possibilities. But inside the aurora, two humans had proven that even in the vastness of space, courage, teamwork, and understanding could guide them through any challenge. They had returned home, stronger, wiser, and more connected than ever. And as they looked forward to new adventures, they knew one thing for certain: together, they could face whatever the universe sent their way.